Hello, and welcome to the United States Office of Government Ethics Institute for Ethics in Government. Today we're going to be talking about the application of the ethics laws to federal executive branch employees' use of social media sites such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, formerly known as Twitter, and LinkedIn, and how we, as agency ethics officials, can assist our employees in ensuring their social media use is consistent with their ethical responsibilities. This introductory course provides a general overview of common ethics issues related to employees' personal use of social media. This course will not focus on ethics issues related to employees who are using social media in an official capacity. Today we will discuss several common ethics issues. These include questions concerning when references to an employee's government title, position, or work-related activities may raise endorsement or unauthorized sanction concerns, which restrictions apply to use of personal social media on government time and on government devices, which restrictions apply to crowdfunding, and guidance concerning when social media can be used as a second source of income. Beyond this course, the Office of Government Ethics has issued several legal advisories about the application of the ethics laws to social media use. These legal advisories can be found in OGE's online legal research collection and in the course description for this training on the Institute for Ethics in Government webpage. I encourage you to consult these legal advisories whenever confronted with a live question. So let's get started. As an initial matter, nothing in the standards of conduct prohibits an executive branch employee from establishing or maintaining a personal social media account. Employees, however, must take steps to ensure that their social media activities comply with the standards of conduct and other applicable ethics laws. This includes agency supplemental regulations and agency-specific policies. One of the most common issues you may encounter relates to employees' use of personal social media during work hours. The ethics rules make it clear that when an employee is on duty, he or she must put forth an honest effort to perform official duties. Adherence to this principle means that employees must limit the extent to which they access and use personal social media while working. Agencies often have policies that relate to what types of personal activities are permissible during work hours, and employees should ensure their social media use is consistent with those policies. A related issue is the extent to which employees may access their personal social media accounts on government computers and mobile devices. In general, this is disfavored and may in fact be prohibited by your agency's policy. Because use of government computers and devices is generally guided by agency-specific policies, you should familiarize yourself with your agency's policy when giving guidance to employees. Employees also will need to be mindful about restrictions that apply to use of social media or personal cell phones on physical government property. For example, agency policies oftentimes prohibit taking pictures or videotaping in certain locations. Employees must comply with these policies. Another common issue that ethics officials encounter is whether and to what extent employees may identify their government affiliation or discuss their government work over their social media accounts. Federal employees are proud of the work that they do. It should come as no surprise then that many employees would like to share the fact that they work for the government or share posts related to their agency's work or their own achievements over social media. While there's normally no bar on doing so, it is also important that the public be able to tell whether an employee is speaking on behalf of the government or not when they post on their personal social media account. For this reason, the standards of conduct require that employees take steps to ensure members of the public would not misconstrue their statements as being sanctioned or authorized by the government when they are not. Similarly, employees cannot lean on their government affiliation to advance their personal interests. This is a misuse of position. The standards expressly prohibit employees from using their title or government authority in a way that suggests the government endorses their personal views or the services, products, or enterprises of private persons. As you can see, these two principles, one, that an employee cannot misuse their position for their own advantage, and two, that they cannot take actions that could be misconstrued as official when they are not, can impact whether and to what extent it is appropriate for employees to reference their government titles, post official or work-related photos, and share content that relates to or refers to their government work. The ethics rules generally permit an employee to include their government title and the name of their agency in those portions of their user profile or background section that relate to their professional experience. Employees are also generally permitted to use official government photos, such as those taken for individuals in the senior executive service, or work-related photos that may have been taken at work events. If an employee chooses to identify themselves as a government employee or uses their official photo on a personal social media networking site, it is possible that the public may be confused as to whether the account is the employee's personal account or an agency's official account. In most cases, potential confusion can be resolved by placing a prominent disclaimer in the user's profile that makes it clear that the account is personal and that the views expressed by the user do not necessarily reflect the opinion of their agency or the United States. To ensure the disclaimer is effective, OG encourages employees to place it where other users will see it. For example, on a LinkedIn page, employees should include the disclaimer in the headline that appears next to their user profile whenever they share content. Because there are times when confusion is more likely to occur, OG has advised that if any of the following are true, an employee should use a disclaimer. First, the employee occupies a high-level position. Second, the employee is in the press office or has an external-facing communications role. Third, the employee is using an official or work-related photo as their user profile picture. And fourth, the employee frequently posts information related to their agency's work. Please note, employees who use their social media accounts as a source of income may not be able to reference their government titles in the biographical section of their user account because of the risk that other users might understand the commercial activity as being endorsed by the government. We will touch on some of the concerns related to so-called monetized accounts later in this training. Beyond sharing their title, agency name, or work-related and official photos in their user profile, employees may also want to post or repost content that is work-related. For example, employees often want to share vacancy announcements at their agency, links to agency program pages, or photos of work events or awards that they or their team may have received. Again, the general rule is that employees may share work-related content so long as it is done in a way that does not appear as if it is endorsed or sanctioned by the government. If an employee chooses to share work-related information, they need to think about what a member of the public would take away. Would they believe that it was merely the personal views of the employee, or would they see it as them acting as a government official? While there is no easy way to determine ahead of time whether sharing any single post could cause confusion, the factors we recently discussed are highly relevant, including whether the employee occupies a high-level position, is in the press office or has an external-facing communications role, uses an official or work-related photo as their user profile picture, or frequently posts information related to their agency's work. Again, the basic rule is that if it is possible that a member of the public might misconstrue personal views as being made in an official capacity, the employee should include a disclaimer on their user profile. Employees should also consider whether it is appropriate to include a disclaimer alongside the posted content, particularly if there is a significant amount of overlap with the content of the post and the employee's official duties. And of course, employees are never permitted to affirmatively invoke their position with the government in a way that suggests that the government has endorsed or sanctioned their personal positions, or that is intended to lead to their personal gain. Up to now, we've been talking about how the ethics rules apply generally to employees using any social media site. However, not all social media networks are the same. Professional networking platforms, such as LinkedIn, are a subset of social media platforms that are characterized by a focus on employment and other professional activities. Consistent with the purpose and culture of these professionally focused networks, users of these platforms often share professional accomplishments, job updates, and posts that are related to their work. Given the focus these platforms have on professional activities, Employees must be particularly mindful that references to their government title and position, use of official or official seeming photos, or sharing of work related content is more likely to be misconstrued as official as opposed to personal in nature. For these reasons, employees who use professional social media networks should include a disclaimer in their user profile, particularly if they occupy a high level position, are in the press office, or have another external facing communications role, use an official or official looking photo, or frequently post information related to the agency's work. Now, I want to highlight a few special considerations for employees who use their social media accounts as a second source of income. These are what we call monetized accounts. Social media users are able to monetize their accounts by, for example, selling products and services, advertising third-party products and services, also known as branded content, and receiving payments directly from a social media network, such as subscription fees, ad revenue, or content creator funds. A few items are important for employees to keep in mind before they seek to monetize their accounts. First, monetizing an account is an outside business activity. Many agencies require employees to seek and receive prior approval before engaging in outside business activities. As a result, it is important for employees to consult with their ethics official before they begin monetizing their account. Second, employees cannot capitalize on their government positions to make money through social media. Use of an employee's title, government affiliation, or badges of service to further their outside commercial activities is a misuse of office. Employees are also generally prohibited from creating content that relates to their official work, particularly if they were to disclose non-public information. Agency ethics officials need to work closely with employees who want to produce such content to ensure it complies with all parts of the standards of conduct. Third, the general rule is that government employees are prohibited from engaging in outside business activities, including creating paid content while on government time. Fourth, employees are generally prohibited from using government equipment or resources to create monetized social media content. Finally, creating monetized content is generally not permitted on government property unless authorized by statute or regulation. Employees should be aware that even when property is open to the public, there may be restrictions on engaging in commercial filming or photography, and they should contact the appropriate person at the facility to check on what rules may apply. Because issues related to monetized accounts can be complicated, ethics officials should encourage employees to contact the ethics office before engaging in any monetized personal social media activity. For our final topic today, I'd like to talk a little about crowdsourced fundraising or crowdfunding. This is the practice of obtaining funding by soliciting contributions from many people over the internet. This can happen over a dedicated crowdfunding platform such as GoFundMe, or over a general social media platform such as Facebook. Ethics officials oftentimes see issues related to crowdfunding when employees want to raise money online through a social media account for a specific purpose or person. For example, employees may want to raise funds to help a friend who has been displaced from their home by a fire. While crowdfunding campaigns are often done with good intentions and altruistic motives, they can implicate the ethics rules. Because crowdfunding donations are typically made to individuals as opposed to nonprofits, ethics officials should be aware that crowdfunding does not qualify as fundraising for purposes of the Office of Government Ethics Standards of Conduct. Requests for donations and the acceptance of donations through a crowdfunding activity are therefore analyzed as gifts under the rules related to gifts from outside sources and gifts between employees. These rules can sometimes impose more onerous obligations than the fundraising rules. As with other gifts, employees are permitted to solicit and accept gifts through crowdfunding that are motivated by a family relationship or personal friendship rather than the employee's federal position. That means that employees can request donations from their family and close friends. However, this exception only applies in circumstances where the gift is clearly motivated by the giver's personal relationship to the employee rather than the employee's official position. When a person other than a close friend or family member is providing a gift to an employee through crowdfunding, the employee must confirm that the donor is not a prohibited source or donating because of the individual's official position before accepting the donation. As a result, employees who would like to engage in crowdfunding must be able to identify any individual who is providing a donation and be able to return those donations that are not permissible. For this reason, OG has advised that employees cannot accept anonymous donations. We are now coming to the end of our discussion. If you'd like to test your understanding of how some of these rules work in practice, please continue watching. Otherwise, I hope that you have enjoyed this introductory course and now feel confident in your ability to spot common social media ethics issues and help employees stay on the right side of the line. Thank you for your time. We have gone over quite a bit today, so I'd like to spend the next few minutes thinking about how some of these principles may apply in practice. To do so, let's think about a few scenarios with our hypothetical colleague, Maya. Maya is a new employee coming from the private sector to the Department of Interior's Bureau of Land Management as a law enforcement officer in the Oklahoma field office. She's very excited for her first federal job and has a few questions she wants to ask about what she can and cannot share on her social media accounts. The first question Maya has is whether she's able to include her title in the background section of her Facebook account. Is this permissible? In general, employees are permitted to put their titles in sections of their social media accounts that are reserved for their background information. Absent extenuating circumstances, members of the public are unlikely to be confused as to whether an account is personal or official simply because an employee has listed their official position on social media. Maya has also asked whether it would be permissible for her to put a post on Facebook that lets the world know that she has accepted a new position with the federal government. Is that permissible? Again, this is generally okay under the ethics laws. An employee noting that they have started a new federal position on their personal social media is not likely to raise endorsement concerns or other issues under the standards of ethical conduct. A few months after starting with the Department of Interior, Maya has concluded her first big cross-agency investigation into a smuggling ring that was operating on public lands. The Department of Justice put out a press release concerning the investigation. Maya has a few questions. First, can she repost the Justice Department's press release on her personal X, formerly known as Twitter, account? In general, the answer is yes. Two primary things we look for when an employee is posting official related content are: 1, is it disclosing non-public information? And 2, would a member of the public misconstrue the statement as being sanctioned by the government? In this case, there is no non-public information being disclosed, since press releases are meant for public consumption. In addition, simply resharing one official post by itself is not going to create the misimpression that the government sanctions the employee's personal account. Also, Maya does not hold a high-level position or a position such as a public affairs officer, where it might be assumed that she is speaking on behalf of the agency. So this post is generally permissible. However, we urge employees who are sharing such content to include a disclaimer on their social media account that clarifies that social media posts are the views of the employee only. Maya asks, what if the Justice Department actually did not share a press release, and the investigation is not yet publicly revealed? Could she describe the investigation in her role at that point? In this case, because the investigation is not public, she should not disclose information about her role, the existence of the case, or any other related non-public information. In addition to being a federal law enforcement officer, Maya also has two major hobbies: printing 3D sculptures and CrossFit workouts. Maya is thinking about whether she can make money off either of these two activities. She has the following questions. First, Maya is looking to set up an Etsy shop to sell her 3D sculptures. She would like to include an occasional link to her Etsy shop on her Facebook account. Does she have to remove her title from the background section of her account? In this case, the answer is likely no. The test as to whether an employee must remove their official title is whether a reasonable person might construe the government as sanctioning or endorsing her 3D sculpture sales. In the present case, it seems unlikely that a reasonable person would come to that conclusion, so it's not likely necessary to remove her title. However, she should include a disclaimer making it clear that her activities are of a personal nature. She should also not make reference to her position in any posts related to the 3D sculpture business. Second, Maya is considering working with a protein supplement company to advertise its products. Part of the interest of the company is in reaching federal law enforcement officials, and they have posed whether she can promote the supplement while wearing her department-issued uniform, during work hours, or in a department vehicle. Is this permissible? The answer is no. Employees cannot use government resources, time, equipment, or property to advance their personal activities and outside businesses. Maya has identified that even with those restrictions, she'd still like to advertise the supplements. She has asked whether there are any other steps she can or should take to prevent confusion about whether she is acting in her official or personal capacity, such as removing her title from her social media accounts, removing official photos and posts that are related to her work, not making reference to her official position in any advertising or posts that are related to the supplement, including a disclaimer, or setting up a separate account for her outside business activities and her personal social media activities. All of these are great ideas to help prevent potential confusion or the appearance that the government is endorsing or sanctioning Maya's outside activities. In practice, what steps are required to comply with the standards of ethical conduct will vary depending on the type of outside activity, how related it might be to Maya's official position, and other case-by-case factors. For example, if advertising the supplement becomes a large portion of Maya's postings, such that her social media account becomes associated with that outside activity, inclusion of Maya's official title may create the misimpression that she is sponsoring the supplement as part of her official duties. In that case, removing her title might become necessary. Given the complexities in this area, OG recommends employees seeking to monetize their accounts work closely with their ethics offices. Finally, Maya's friend was recently involved in a car crash. Maya would like to set up a GoFundMe page to help defray some of the hospital costs incurred by her friend. What does Maya need to do before she sets up the account? The answer is all of the above. Employees who engage in crowdsourced fundraising must be cognizant that they are soliciting gifts, and that these solicitations, whether for themselves or for another, are subject to the ethics rules. As such, employees generally are discouraged from soliciting their federal colleagues, cannot solicit prohibited sources, can't use their federal position to advance the donation drive, and must be able to weed out impermissible gifts. Thank you for taking the time to work through some of these scenarios with us. We hope that these have started you thinking through some of the many issues you are likely to encounter when advising employees on what they can and can't do on social media. And again, please remember OG's many resources available on this topic. Thank you.